the discussions on Uniform Civil Code, UCC, are going sideways because of the reluctance in stating that the real aim is to ban polygamy, which allows a man to have more than one wife. The rest of UCC is really background noise. That the call for UCC only appears in the Constitution as one of the non-justiciable directive principles makes it appear like a promise akin to jam yesterday, jam tomorrow but never today. Alice in Wonderland, once more. This positioning of UCC in the Constitution took away its urgency, though it bobbed up, from time to time, in lazy, hazy conversations before it was patted back to bed. Its relevance gradually faded away, allowing polygamy to reset the alarm and go back to sleep. It was in the 1980s that it was rudely woken up when the Shah Bano case made polygamy among Muslims a national scandal. Even so, it did not really stir the entire UCC package. In recent years, polygamy has come back with tons of newsfeed on UCC, some of it imagined, which paints a rather large target on the back of the Muslim community. It would seem, judging from media chats, that Muslims are wantonly polygamous, while the truth is that less than 1.9% practice it. Polygamy is not entirely absent amongst Hindus either, for 1.3% are said to be in a polygamous relationship. In parenthesis, polygamy exists largely among the poor. Unfortunately, this practice lurks among scheduled castes, SCs, and scheduled tribes, STS, as well. In this connection, we need to remember that the Hindu Marriage Act made an exception for STs and kept them out of its purview. Also, our constitution made room for the traditional Muslim personal law to continue in the belief that some communities were not ready for full-fledged democracy. If it wasn't time for them then, it is clearly over time now. In simple terms, polygamy is a feature that needs to be stamped out vigorously regardless of which community is in question. Hence, rather than beat the drum about UCC, why not just make polygamy illegal across the board and place it unerringly in the crosshairs of social reform? Other issues like inheritance laws can wait till polygamy loses its death grip, for without a clear victory over it, other reforms get pushed back to another day. Once polygamy goes, gender injustice on matters such as inheritance gets easier to address. This is exactly what happened with the Hindu Succession Act. It came a year after the Hindu Marriage Act, which disallowed polygamy. Without outlawing polygamy, inheritance matters can never be straight-lined. Even so, it took almost another 50 years for the 2005 amendment to be enacted, which finally granted Hindu women equal right to inheritance. A foursquare attack against polygamy may seem like an overkill as only a tiny fraction practice it. That is not a good reason to play defense, because it is always a few who fall prey to murderers, thieves and cheats. The law fails if exceptions are made, forcing such victims to endure endless, frustrating legalese as if they were drying out their clothes in pouring rain. Those scarred by polygamy may be small in number, but they still deserve justice. In this, wisdom clearly lies in pacing oneself and not insisting in placing every single duck in a row at once. Polygamy should be drawn out of the UCC package and dealt with first. As long as that exists, all other reforms, such as on maintenance, alimony, etc., will escape attention. The adoption of the Hindu Marriage Act before the Hindu Succession Act is not just a historic quirk but, in hindsight, a near-perfect timetable of how reforms should be sequenced. A full-fledged uniform civil code would be messy and a waste of time, and would even delay an easy no-contest win against polygamy. To be fixated on the entire UCC package is not good advice, but needless homework, like pounding sand. Polygamy is an outright affront to democracy and women's dignity, which if clothed in UCC becomes difficult to reject. Some innocent multiculturalists might also view it as an affable and colorful eccentricity. This allows polygamy to be clubbed with extraneous issues like matrilineal descent, or the rule of ultimogeniture, as amongst some STs where the youngest sibling is the main inheritor. But matrilineal is in no way undemocratic, and ultimogeniture is also dying out naturally. Older siblings have together mounted an assault against it, and there is public sympathy too, for one does not know where the buck stops as long as the parents are reproductively able. In addition, where land is held by a lineage, such as among many STs, a uniform inheritance law would be tricky. Adopting a full-fledged UCC would also mean a shake-up of the Hindu undivided family as a tax category. Are millions of Hindus ready for this? This is why it is best to zero in on polygamy and, for the time being, let the rest of UCC hide in the tall grass. Without polygamy as a cover, they will soon be flushed out in the open. That is when they can be picked out, one at a time, clearly and precisely, and not all at once where everything gets garbled. As the adage goes, never talk when your mouth is full.